News at 10 in HD starts now. We are Iowa.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie Engelson.
And I'm Jack Miller. Tonight, Iowa finally has federal approval to go forward with the governor's plan to privatize Medicaid. But the switchover date has been delayed. It is the update everyone was waiting for as we continue Local 5's coverage to countdown to coverage. This afternoon, the Federal Centers for Medicare and Medicaid gave its approval for the change. Medicaid coverage in Iowa will now switch hands from a state-run program to 3 private managed care companies, but the federal agency bumped back the start date from March 1st to April 1st.
So what's next? Well, the plan moves forward, and those who use Medicaid need to choose a provider. This change affects every 1 in 5 Iowans. That's more than 500,000 people who rely on Medicaid care right now. The deadline for them to sign up for a plan was last Wednesday, but it's not just Iowans who have to sign up with the managed care companies. No,
the hospitals and doctors who provide your care have to sign contracts with these managed care companies, or MCOs as they're called. The latest numbers show only 60% of providers have signed up with all 3 MCOs. 70% have signed up with 2. Just 90% have signed up with just one of the MCOs. Unless those numbers improve, it means many Iowans could find their medical choices more limited than now.
Meanwhile, Medicaid is still a state house matter for Senate Democrats. While the bill that would have repealed the governor's plan has lost traction in the Republican-controlled House, there is a bill in the Senate that calls for more oversight for the new Medicaid system. Basically, the bill calls for oversight and accountability of this new system. May never make it to the floor for debate because of a power struggle.
A statement from Governor Terry Branstad shows he still stands by his plan. It says Iowa is ready for a new system that provides access through more doctors and will create a more sustainable Medicaid program for taxpayers. Stay with Local 5 for the latest on this hot topic.
And you can find all of our Medicaid coverage on our website. That is weareiowa.com.
More news now. It's day 1 of the long-awaited Fazzino trial. Alexander Fazzino is charged with his wife's death in Boone back in 2012. He's accused of drowning Emily Fazzino in the family's bathtub while their children were home. The trial has been delayed 5 times since then. Local 5's Claire Powell is in Decorah with a wrap-up of today's events.
The first day of the Alexander Fazzino trial here in Wenatchee County was an emotional one. With jury selection wrapping up, they took no time to bring witnesses to the stand and started today off with a chilling 911 call.
We have paramedics. We're going to get paramedics and everybody on the way, okay? All right. She's dead? Okay.
She's purple.
After brief opening statements by prosecution and defense, the first witness was called, the 911 dispatcher.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, no.
Bringing Emily Fazzino's family, Alexander Fazzino's family, and even Alex Fazzino himself to tears. Evidence continued, showing paramedics arriving, body cameras rolling on a frantic Fazzino. Fazzino suggests Emily was trying to get clean from addiction.
Made some comment that Emily potentially has abused prescription drugs. That's why.
The next 2 witnesses, Boone police officers, who noted to prosecutors the dead-end search for more of Emily's pills and Fazzino's calm, then frantic, changing behavior.
But she could have said, that's not to say she didn't take something that's not in these pictures, but I mean...
They told attorneys when they asked about the bruising on Emily's body, Fazzino said he wasn't sure how it happened.
It was an assumption that it had to have happened when she was taken out of the bathtub.
More witness testimony is set to begin tomorrow morning at 8:30. The judge saying that this trial could take 2, even 3 weeks to be finished. From Wenatchee County, Claire Powell, Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
Claire, thank you. Milwaukee students of every age will be asked to say the Pledge of Allegiance in class starting soon. The school board decided to extend saying the pledge to 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. A district spokesperson says students will be asked to say the pledge, but not required. An important point, says the ACLU of Iowa.
Students' rights to free speech are protected by the First Amendment. And the First Amendment protects students' rights to say and do certain things. It also protects their right to not be forced to say and do certain things.
And we want to know your thoughts. Should saying the Pledge of Allegiance be part of every student's day in Waukee? How about your community? You can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter to share your thoughts, or send us an email to news@weareiowa.com, or call us in the newsroom, 1-800-858-5555. We'd love to hear what you think about this story or any other.
GOP candidates are awaiting the results of the Nevada caucus tonight. Nevada is the second state to caucus right after Iowa. Unlike Iowa, though, the two parties caucus on different nights. Nevada was moved up in the caucus schedule about a decade ago as a way to add more diversity to the early voting calendar. About 1/4 of Nevadans are Hispanic. Now, the polls don't close until 11 o'clock our time, but we will have updated results pouring in from Nevada on our website. That's weareiowa.com.
Al new at 10, if you're going to crash into someone, make sure it's not an officer. That's what happened to a young woman just outside of Bagley, Iowa this afternoon. Kylie Sheeter was driving up Quail Road and failed to stop the stop sign to get onto Highway 141 and hit a Guthrie County deputy. You can see Sheeter's car here. She refused medical help at the scene. The deputy was taken to the hospital for some minor injuries. Sheeter is charged with failure to stop at a stop sign.
We have an amazing rescue story out of Des Moines tonight. A truck driver who had a heart attack while driving on Highway 5 Sunday is alive against some pretty long odds. His heroes say it was just good timing. Local 5's Nikki Davidson is here to explain.
Yeah, paramedics and EMTs save lives every day, but tonight we're telling you about a story that surprised even them. One of the rescuers says it had to have been fate. Since the 90s, paramedic Jason Kling has started his workday off with uncertainty, never knowing what his shift would bring.
I couldn't imagine doing anything else at all.
A lot of his time with his partner, EMT Kayla Shark, is repetitive, like their typical drive back to the Indianola Fire Department from the hospital in Des Moines. The ambulance, though, did something unusual. On Sunday, they took a turn on a different road.
Took a ride out of the hospital. I don't know why I just did.
They ended up on Highway 5.
Which we never go that way because it's almost a little bit out of the way.
And when passing Southwest 9th Street, they came across something huge.
Maybe you want to call it fate, you want to call it divine intervention.
A semi-trailer pulled off of the road into the mud and the median.
It appeared that this accident just happened.
Inside the vehicle, 57-year-old Jeff Aranek. Bystanders who got there first were able to get him out of the truck and realized he needed CPR. Kling says it was Jeff's heart.
It's an irregular rhythm that is not conducive with life. The patient had no pulse and he was not breathing.
But that paramedic and EMT had something on their side they don't usually. Time.
Fire and EMS are usually never there that quickly. For us to get there that early and that soon and to get him electricity is what his heart needed. I truly deeply believe that's the only thing that saved him.
It took 6 electrical shocks before he regained consciousness, and the eventual outcome was something even Jason Kling can't believe.
By the time we got to the hospital, he was sitting up and talking. He was telling us who he was.
He says he's never seen anything like it, but he hopes to again someday.
It is very special for him, and it's special for us, but I could do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And that's anyone in fire and EMS. That's what we do.
Now, Jeff is doing fine tonight, but he was not feeling up to an on-camera interview. He did release a statement from the hospital about his rescue, and in part he said, quote, "I knew I was gone and these guys brought me back. They didn't have to stop, but they did. If they hadn't, I wouldn't be here. And I'm alive because they stopped, and then they didn't stop trying until they could get my heart going again." Reporting in the studio, Nikki Davidson, Local 5 News, We Are Iowa.
Nikki, great story. Thanks. The Indianola Fire Department says that rescue was so successful thanks to those bystanders who also jumped into action. They say this is a perfect example of why everyone should be trained on CPR and first aid.
Coming up on Local 5 News at 10, thinking outside the textbooks and challenging students won 2 Iowa teachers a big check. See why they are our One Classroom at a Time grant recipients this month.
Then lots of 4A girls basketball action happening tonight as Metro teams look to advance to the state tourney. John is in with who's moving on later in sports.
And we got a little cool down for a couple of days before the weekend warm-up. That's coming up. Stay tuned.
Tomorrow on Good Morning Iowa.
We're in the middle of tax season. Yay! When it comes to getting a refund, there are a lot of ways to use it.
I've already filed my taxes, but we're going to show you how most of you plan to spend that check from Uncle Sam.
I'm hoping I get a big check from Uncle Sam. I doubt it. We're hoping we get a nice big bump of the weather, but Not a ton of that either.
A whole lot of Sam going on tomorrow on Good Morning Iowa.